Hey, Jack. Where did the rebellion find the right prosthetic for Luke Skywalker?
Oh God, where?
At the second-hand store.
But
It's a good Christmas one. I like it.
Wanna buy some death stick? Roger.
Jedi.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
Always a pleasure to meet a Jedi.
And my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi.
Hello, explorers, and welcome to the only international Star Wars podcast covering almost half of the world, but only 0.5% of the galaxy. I'm Charlie, and as always, thank you for joining us for our last show before the festive season kicks off, wherever you are in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, welcome to Explore the Force, where we cover all things Star Wars. I'm Jimmy, and as always, welcome back or welcome along if you're new.
Yes, and last but no means least, Merry Christmas to everybody that will be listening or viewing this. I'm Jack, and if you're joining us for today's episode and you get a chance, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave us a cheeky rating on your podcast provider of choice. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Jimmy, we'll start with you. How you doing, buddy?
I've got the next 2 weeks off, so I'm loving life. Although, like I told you guys off air, when I don't have like things pressing up against stuff, I am like lethargic and unproductive. So, but Charlie says I just need to take a break. So maybe I'll take a break for a day or two.
That's
How
it,
about
mate.
you, Chuck? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm stressed about Christmas, but is it not Christmas without a little bit of stress? I've got 100 things to do, a million house chores to do, but it's all good because it's nearly Christmas and I'm really excited. Excuse me, Jack, how are you doing?
I'm buzzing. The lad's back after about 4 months of not seeing him, so the full family is at home. It snowed, as probably the Canadians know that are listening, so we're snowed in. I think I'm going to be having my first white Christmas in about 35 years. Hashtag that's my life. But yeah, Charlie, what fun fact have you got for this week?
Oh, it's a pretty special one this week. Did you guys know we have been keeping something very secret, and we've had some very, very talented people working behind the scenes to bring you the Explore the Force website. The one place to go for everything to do with our fantastic podcast. We've got all of our episodes for you to enjoy, host profiles so you can get to know us a little bit better, and articles written by us about our favorite things in Star Wars. P.S. We are gladly taking submissions from our viewers and our listeners. So open up a browser and head on over to www.exploretheforce.com and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Right, let's head into this week's Force Encounters.
For my ally is the Force.
I'd make air horn noises with my mouth, but I don't want to blow the microphone out. So air horn noises, air horn noises, the shelves, the what, the wonderful display shelves in my lovely, lovely spare room slash office space slash podcast recording are very nearly finished. It has been a week of hearing Nick go upstairs and then hearing the sound of figures fall over, him saying some very naughty words, and then starting all over again. Rinse and repeat. However, it is finally coming together, and I really do think I'm going to have to do like a whole tour. I'm going to have to do like a single like, a YouTube video for every single shelf on that thing at this point, and then do like a whole big thing because it's massive and extensive, and my Star Wars collection takes up at least a third.
Nice.
And I
Okay.
still don't think I've taken everything out of the boxes. It's getting a little bit crazy out here.
As it should.
Jimmy, what have you been up to?
Folks, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to announce this. As doing our homework for our 2026 episode, I started looking about what's coming out in the future. And I know the highlight of every show happens at the beginning and it's all downhill from there. After my joke, what's the point?
Mm.
But the problem with it is Star Wars dad jokes is about over for me. Then I found out that April 21st of 2026, Dad Jokes Strikes Back will be releasing. So I will be rearmed with more fabulous Star Wars humor to start our jokes off. So if you thought that it was going to end in 2025, sorry, folks. Go ahead and just sit back and prepare yourself. I've seen a couple of the jokes that are in this one, some quality stuff. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, that's my Force encounter for the week. I was very excited. I think I may have scared the wife when I screamed when I saw that it was coming out. So I was pretty excited.
Yeah,
Jack, boy.
my Force encounter is not great, if I'm honest. I've been ousted on our fantasy league semi-finals match. I've been beaten. Had a little hiatus from it, so I missed a few things. However, I have a bone to pick with Mike the mailman because the other three teams that are in the semi-final all have Mike. There's something tells me there's been some conspiracy going on against me, and he's taken over some teams. And yeah, Mike seems to be running away with it since he's 3 out of the 4 teams.
He thought he was going to get bounced as the number 1 seed because of DK and I'm on St. Ross. So,
well, it's questionable. So my team's lost to Struggle Snuggles, which I'm pretty sure used to be Dad Vader. So he'd be in the final. Steel Curtain Dreams, I know is Mike the mailman. He's maxed his points, and then the Gonk Droids, which is again Mike. How many Mikes have we got in this league now? He's currently on track to beat him. So Mike the mailman, I know you're listening. I'm on to you. But yeah, no. Apart from that, it's been okay. Like I said, been playing some Star Wars Battlefront this morning with my daughter Tessa. She loves it. And then yeah, just looking forward to 2026. Lots to talk about in this episode, and obviously the next one that's coming out. And speaking of lots to talk about, we've had a whole load of news. So let's head over to Batu and see what news is coming out of there.
The people in this crowd will soon be among almost 40,000.
For those who are among the 900 with news media or promotional tickets, this sneak preview probably will be the only chance to see the Empire Strikes Back.
All right, Star Wars Starfighter has wrapped filming. That's exciting. Director Sean Levy has posted on social media that he was done, some celebratory photos, and they said they're headed to post-production. So I imagine that starts taking place after the new year. And they got a little about a year and a half or so to edit and get things ready. And just once we get, I don't know why it is, I just kind of want to jump over Mando and Grogu and get to this.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited for this. Like, it was pretty big news, though. I didn't realize they were they were wrapping up Matt Smith and some of those people, and Mia Goth had wrapped up and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, bam, it's done.
Rapid. So, done really quick. I can't remember where I've read it, or I'm just making it up, but I'm sure like post-production stuff takes normally a year anyway, doesn't it, to edit everything?
It seems like they usually try to give themselves a year on these things, and then of course, if there's any reshoots or whatever, then the Star Wars fandom will like, oh, it's going to be a terrible movie. They've had to do reshoots, even though they've done reshoots since the beginning of time.
Yeah, I wonder if it will come out quite early in 2027.
It's what, May 28th, I think, 2027. It already has a release date set, so
interesting.
I am immensely excited about it, but also what I'm excited about, Harrison Ford is going to be the recipient of the SAG-AFTRA Life Achievement Award, the highest honor that the organization can bestow. On Sunday, the 1st of March on Netflix, we'll see the award handed out at the 32nd Annual Actors Awards, and understandably, Ford is grateful for the recognition from his peers. Harrison Ford is an icon of our screens, and I'm absolutely delighted to see him be awarded this. Incredibly well deserved. I feel like we could do an entire show about like the cinema history of Harrison Ford and his journey into all of it. And what a sensational actor, and just so happy for him.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well earned.
Yeah, massively. And I think out of everyone that was involved with A New Hope, his career has just gone from peak to peak to peak.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the most recognized actors in the world as well. So massive congratulations to Harrison Ford. I know he's a big listener of the show.
In your dreams, Jack, in your dreams. Now, on to some legal updates. For a super quick reminder, Tyburn Film Productions have been attempting to sue Lucasfilm in regards to their use of Peter Cushing's likeness in Rogue One, a feat of visual effects made possible by the talents of ILM and the performance of the brilliant Guy Henry. Quote, Cushing had signed a deal with British company Tyburn Film Productions in '93 to appear in a television film, an agreement Tyburn's lawyers said gave it the right to be the first to resurrect Mr. Cushing by way of visual effects. Tyburn claimed it had lost around £250,000, $333,000, and sued Lucasfilm and fellow Disney subsidiary Lunac Heavy Industries at London's High Court for alleged unjust enrichment at its expense.
What does it all mean? So on Thursday, the Court of Appeal ruled in favour of Lucasfilm, and the case was ultimately dismissed. Judge Sukar said that it is impossible to identify anything at all belonged to Tyburn, which can be said to have been transferred to Lucasfilm or Lunac, meaning the case could not continue. And there was some debate about this yesterday on Fan for Track. Shout out to those boys about people selling their likeness to AI. You look again at Harrison Ford with his career. Could he possibly do it? You know, when he gets to that age where he physically can't act anymore, I'm sure there'd be plenty of IPs out there that'd love to purchase his likeness for some characters they may or may not have. So it's quite a big deal as well. And it just goes to show as well, Disney does get sued from time to time, or at least, you know, cases do come up against them. What's your thoughts on this, guys? Let's start with you, Jimmy.
This was just a money grab by this company.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is kind of pathetic, honestly. Like I think they maybe were hoping that Disney would just give them something and make them go away. But
Yeah.
no one, I mean, this sounds, at first I thought we had reported something about them had signed an agreement about his likeness. But then this says that it was just, he was supposed to be in the show and then die. So they're like, oh, that gives us the
Yeah.
rights to him then. So this is insane. But I do think you're right, Jack. I do think that AI and stuff like this will come in. Like, what's going to happen with why can't I think of his name? Vader, the voice of Vader. Why it's slipping my brains right now.
James
But
L. Jones.
yes, thank you. Goodness gracious. You know, we know that he signed his voice over and stuff like that to be used. So it'll be interesting what happens in a few years with this kind of stuff. But yeah, money grab, kind of pathetic on this, I think, on this company's, on Tyburn Films production.
Yeah, totally agree. Charlie?
I have to agree with everything Jimmy said. It does feel like a little bit of a money grab. It's I think obviously it's kind of post the Gina Carano thing, which I don't actually think we ever reported on and talked about. She settled for a very small amount of money out of court if people were interested. I think after that there've been a few kind of more people sort of stepping up and being like, well, actually, I want some money because I signed this piece of paper with this person on this date many, many years ago that said this, and Lucasfilm go, well, that doesn't mean anything, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So for once, I'm in favor of Lucasfilm. I feel like this was just another bit of, again, I don't necessarily agree with the quote unquote resurrection of these people, like the whole kind of James L. Jones voice in Fortnite, his estate approved it being used. All of that felt quite gross and quite horrible to me. I think it's a very, very sticky subject. I'm sure we've talked about AI in Star Wars, but I would love to dig into this topic a little bit deeper at some point.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get the opportunities, I think, given what they just did with SOAR and all that stuff as well. So the AI and some fun news. I got to see the new trailer for Mando and Grogu. I went to see Fire and Ash on Thursday, the day it came out. I actually snuck out of school early. Don't tell my bosses. And I got into there, and I knew we were going to get something from Doomsday, which ended up being pretty lame. And then I wasn't sure if we were getting Mando and Grogu. It was in 3D, which was phenomenal. And there was a little scene at the beginning. I won't spoil it. I'm sure it'll come out sooner than later. I don't know. Is it out yet? Have they released it yet? So there's a little thing with Mando talking to Grogu about some stuff. It's really cute, kind of being a dad / warrior. And then the fight scene in is it Nar Shaddaa or Now Hutta, whichever one it is. It's like the whole Dejeric board has come to life.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. And one more point too, before I turn it over to you guys on this one. If you go to the IMAX, they have this countdown in 3D, and that's always the numbers spinning, and it's kind of cool. It's just kind of showing off, flexing its muscle. That's all Mando and Grogu now. So they are starting the build up to Mando and Grogu officially, because this is the, I don't know, second or third movie I've seen in these last couple months, and this is the first time I've seen it in the Star Wars Mando and Grogu, which also I don't think we've ever, or anyone's ever said, but is this movie going to be in 3D? Like, I'm assuming it must be. So what do you guys think about all that?
Go on, Charlie, you go first.
It's not fair that you've gotten to see like 20 billion more trailers than I have. You got to see it at Celebration, you've been to see it at the cinema. Not fair, stomping my feet. Oh, don't hurt him now, Jimmy. Don't hurt him now. Oh,
Dad moves as well as dad jokes. I'm
Yeah.
excited for it. I wonder if it's going to be in 3D. I'd like to see it in 3D as well, I think.
The trailer was, so that makes me think that the whole movie's going to be, and it was shot
Yeah.
for the IMAX. So I don't know if that's something that comes standard or.
Yeah, I'd be happy with either or, if I'm honest.
I mean, it pretty cool. I mean, Fire and Ash was the Avatar number 3 was pretty cool in 3D. But yeah, I don't know. Would this be the first one? Were the other movies in 3D?
No, it's
Like
the first one, mate.
Was the Force Awakens in 3D? I
yeah,
can't
I went
remember.
to see The Force Awakens in 3D.
Did you?
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I don't remember that. Anyway, well, I am old. I'm turning 50 in a few weeks, so
Because my
I'm allowed to
selfie from
forget
when I went to midnight showing, I've got the 3D glasses on. I mean, I hated it because I can't really do it with my glasses. I find it too difficult. It doesn't work properly for me. So it just annoys me rather than getting to enjoy it. But it was in 3D. All of them were in 3D. So I'm guessing there will be like a whole 3D IMAX, kaboom, kablam, fireworks.
cool. Well, here for it.
Nice.
Well, speaking of upcoming Star Wars, Disney has released their 2026 preview slate, which confirms multiple Star Wars projects, but Ahsoka Season 2 was notably absent, sparking speculation about its schedule, and this may be an oversight or a deliberate choice. I also believe that Maul Shadow Lord was absent as well.
That's what our friend Joshua told us that works for CBR.com on our show last week. He told us this off the air, but it's all out now. And I don't think it's a secret that they got their Disney media package for 2026. And he did say that he believed, and I mean, he had just gotten it that day, I think, that it was like for the first half of the year. But that is disappointing though, because I thought we were going to get something. I thought
sooner.
I don't know why it had it in my head that Maul Shadow Lords was coming out in like February or something, but maybe that was just me.
Hopefulness.
Yeah, wishful thinking, I guess.
Interesting. It is strange that it's been left off, but then, like you say, it might make sense if it's only the first half of the year. Are we then going to get a double header with Maul and Ahsoka too? Because obviously we get the Mandalorian next year in May, so we're gonna have the big build up to the movie.
I mean, Ninth Jedi comes out. The Ninth Jedi, like 45 minutes or so, I think is what they said at Celebration. That short comes out. We're probably going to get another Tales of series, I think. I would assume, I hope. But, I mean, that leaves us January, February, March, April.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Twiddling our thumbs, yeah, literally, and there's no celebration. But in fact, you have got the Lucasfilm Museum opening.
Yeah, but I don't think that's Disney is
Still 2027.
No, so the grand opening's next year.
but,
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm disappointed in this news. Like, I know I was bummed when I heard it. I don't know. I was just looking forward to some new Star Wars. I know we've recorded our 2025, and despite what Charlie thought, a lot did happen in 2025. But it doesn't feel like we've had. I don't know. I get where Charlie was, where you're coming from, Chuck. Where it didn't feel like, because we weren't really bombarded with like Marvel and Disney and stuff like on Disney Plus. So maybe that's why it feels a little bit empty this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
interesting. The Mandalorian has passed 1 billion minutes streamed, and May the 4th was the most streamed day of 2025 on Disney Plus, showing the power of Star Wars. That's some amazing figures. I'm sure we all contributed to this. And this bit of news actually leads nicely into our main show. So let's head over to the main show.
It's just a simple jump to hyperspace and we're there. What's so tricky about that?
Plenty. Can't plot a direct course to Kessel. You might want to buckle up, baby.
Yes, we have had a feast of Star Wars this year. However, one question remains. Has the Force awakened?
What we mean by this is since Disney's acquisition of Star Wars in 2012, 13 years ago, has the heart, legacy, and magic of Star Wars continued? And are we still one with the Force?
Today we're going through the whole journey of ups and downs in the world, universe of Star Wars. What we loved, what we hated, what we changed, ultimately conclude, has the Force awakened?
Insert dramatic music here. Before we get into questions, before we start breaking down kind of these ideas, I think it's really important just to refresh everyone's memory. It can be really, really easy and sometimes too easy for certain fans to bash and attack Disney's era of Star Wars. But here is a super quick rundown of everything that was released for cinema and television by Disney since 2012.
Yes, so I'll take on the films before I hand over to you, Jimmy, for the live action stuff. So the first up was Star Wars The Force Awakens in 2015, followed closely by Rogue One in 2016. In 2017, we got Star Wars The Last Jedi, followed by Jimmy's favorite Solo, A Star Wars Story in 2018, again followed by Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. So we had 4 or 5 years continuous Star Wars movies. And next year, hopefully, we are getting Star Wars and Mandalorian and Grogu. So interestingly then, 5 films on the bounce. Bit of a pause now, waiting for Grogu and Mandalorian next year. How are we feeling about the film release schedule there?
I hate the big gap between 19 and 26. I think it's insane.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Why do we think that is?
Writer strike and COVID.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is the
down,
big.
I don't think I don't think it's fair to turn around and be like, it's Disney's fault. They don't know how to do Star Wars. They don't know what they've been doing. It was the biggest like actors and writers strike that I think any of us have ever seen or been a part of or been
Yeah.
witness to. And COVID disrupted the film and television industry in ways that are still being felt now. Like those ripples are still appearing, and it's not exactly been easy. That's why I wanted to kind of reel off of this list because I feel like there's so much we've forgotten about.
Yeah.
Or if we haven't forgotten about it, we've forgotten that it's Disney era Star Wars. Like I see people say all the time that like Rogue One and Solo don't feel like Disney Star Wars product. They feel like closer to original Star. Like it, yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, we are, if things continue though, and we're back to back years, 26, 27, with a year in between movies, with Mando and Starfighter. So maybe we're back on track. But
Maybe.
if they were going to do that, they'd have to announce another movie pretty soon, wouldn't they? I've seen some rumblings about another animated film, but I don't know anything about that. So just some rumors starting to circulate about they have something in their back pocket. But I want live action on the big screen.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of live action, TV series on Disney Plus, we got The Mandalorian. That went from 2019 to 2023. There were some big gaps in between the seasons, but we got that. We got the Book of Boba Fett from 21 to 22, or Mando 2.5 or 1.5 or however you want to call it. Obi-Wan Kenobi 2022. We had Andor, obviously 22 to 25. We had Ahsoka. We don't know. Well, obviously now we don't know when we started in 2023. Hopefully it'll be in 2026 as well. We got the Acolyte in 2024. Skeleton Crew crossed over between 24 and 25. So there's 7 shows right there. We're also looking at another Ahsoka season coming. We know it's filmed and wrapped and they're editing and getting things ready. So there'll be 8 television shows, 8 shows, but multiple seasons. I mean, because we got 2 seasons of Andor, 3 seasons of Mando. So pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I think it kept everyone going after the hiatus of the films stopping. I think another key point, same as the film stuff, like Charlie already mentioned, COVID was such a big factor as well as the strikes. There's still no 2020 of anything in this list or the last list.
Like, I'm pretty sure that if I remember correctly, I do believe the Book of Boba Fett came from film ideas. Kenobi was supposed to be a feature film. I think there were noises at one point about Andor either being this like 5-season epic or this like one big fat chunky movie. And I think it was the pandemic that disrupted so much of this. And like you say, I'm really glad we got these kind of trickles of stories in between the films, this massive gap between the films that we've had and the films that we're getting. And It's crazy to me that, like, I'll talk
Yeah.
about this a little bit more later on, but the amount that they have given us is insane. Like the animated and the kids series, we had Star Wars Rebels from 2014 to 2018. Heck yeah. We had Star Wars Resistance from 2018 to 2020. We had The Bad Batch from
Yes.
2021 to 2024. We had Star Wars Visions, which is running from 2021 to the current present. We've got even more of that coming next year. We had Tales of the Jedi in 2022. We had Tales of the Empire in 2024. We had Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy 2024 and 2025. And we had Young Jedi Adventures, which has been running for 2 years now.
I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we got Tales of the Underworld as well on that list. I
Yeah.
mean, and then I know we're not really diving into books and comics and things like that, but holy rip, like just the High
Yeah,
Republic in itself, 30 books.
even attempt to make a list of all of
Yeah.
the books and comics that have come out since
So,
Disney like acquisition.
now if we contrast that massive list with the many fans refer to as the dark period between Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace, and that was like, I mean, a lot of us kind of went away from not went away from
Yeah.
Star Wars, but if there was nothing coming out, we had to find, we had to fill out that gap with
Yeah.
something. Between Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace, which was 22 years. I mean, that's 2/3 of your life, Chuck. Where the only thing fans had were books and comics that they had their own issues with canon, compliance, characters, complexity. I mean, I never got into anything other than the Thrawn Heir to the Empire trilogy. That's about all I read
Yeah, same.
until later on when I came back. And it may have just been my age and what I was doing in life and things like that, being in college, being in the army. But yeah, I mean, that's a long time to go without. So, I mean, I guess like was it 6 years we're going to be waiting for a movie since The
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker? Is that what it is? 6 or 7 years? 7 years, right? So 22
Yeah.
years versus 7. I mean, I'll take it, I guess. I don't ever want another 22 years in between movies. That would be sad.
Yeah.
I mean, look what else we had in those 7 years of waiting. It wasn't just like emptiness and lack of kind of visual content. I'm not knocking the extended universe or the comic books in any way, shape, or form. I think they're such an essential part of Star Wars and they are so special and important to so many fans. But I can't argue that I do appreciate the fact that Disney has the budget, the resources, and the time to just pump this out. And I like the idea that because they're still relatively new to the franchise and new to working with the franchise, and yes, Kathleen Kennedy was chosen specifically by George Lucas. I won't get into all of that rhetoric, but they're still kind of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think the fact that they've had the budget to play with that so openly, that's a hell of a lot of content. Audiobooks, audio drama. There's so much more that we could have
Yeah.
added to this list that would have taken us like 40 minutes to read out, I think, in totality. I don't think people realize how lucky they are. I think a lot of fans who are angry at this era of Star Wars were not Jimmy's age bracket and didn't have to live through the dark period. To imagine 22 years with no Star Wars television, no Star Wars films, books that were good in their own little pockets, but the second you try to tie any of that together, absolutely makes no sense whatsoever because it's hundreds of authors working with infinity numbers of building blocks. I basically what I'm saying is Star Wars fans need to be a bit more grateful, I think.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I know it's not all been sunshine and roses, and there is arguably, depending on where your opinion sits, there's some bad stuff on that list. Okay, that's fine.
But there's some
Ultimately,
really great
Disney's a
stuff.
business, though.
Yeah.
They need to make money.
Jack.
That's what it all comes down to. Disney aren't pushing Star Wars stuff out to please fans. Disney ultimately are pushing stuff out to make money. That's the bottom line.
You're not going to make money staying out of the theater for 7 years, unless
Well,
they're trying to do making us, the heart, absence makes the heart grow fonder kind of thing.
No, but
maybe.
I know we're going to go into questions, so I'm going to fire this question at you both just before we start into these. So, yeah, we are jumping well ahead here. Going forward, though, do you prefer live action TV series or would you prefer a movie?
I would love a movie that then we get live action stuff for.
Okay.
My thought process is this, like, you make Andor a movie, it is nowhere near as good as what we got season 1, season 2. Like, there's no way, and like, I don't care I would any movie person, and I love movies. Like, I mean, there's nothing better to me than sitting down with popcorn and a soda and watching something epic happening in front of the screen on IMAX or whatever. But to get a movie with some characters, and I know we're doing this in the reverse with Mando and Grogu, but I would love it if we got that, and then we got like live action that you don't necessarily have to watch to understand the movies, but it like kind of fills in gaps, or it goes and just does exactly what Andor does. You got this side character who's really fun and creative and makes everybody laugh, or is an important part, and we get an 8-run series because you can just do so much storytelling with that. And that's what I think this younger generation has gotten greedier, has gotten
Yes.
lazy when it comes to like wanting the story spoon fed to them. Like, you got to let things develop.
Gotta let
Give
it
me a
brew.
big epic film that I can go and just sink my teeth into a couple times over the holiday or right before the summertime starts, and then give me a TV show to fill in the gap. I would be here for that, because that's what I've been wanting that for the High Republic. Big epic novels, make them in movies, make the smaller novels into television shows, and then maybe do some animation for the kids. And you got storytelling on all these different levels, and I think would be phenomenal. What about you,
Interesting.
Chuck?
So it used to be that I would be all for the cinema. TV wasn't really something that I engaged in. I was very much like going to the cinema with my friends, with my family. It was a thing.
Experience, man.
It was an experience. And then like especially I was deep into Marvel when the Avengers came out, the first like Marvel like proper big Marvel film. And I remember that being such like a special thing. And it was so wonderful. And the same with the Force Awakens. And however, after the pandemic, this is a little bit of a side tangent, a little bit of a rant. I do apologize. After the pandemic, cinema etiquette, especially in the UK, I don't know if this has affected you guys as well, is unbearable. Obviously, I'm somebody who's neurodivergent, so I struggle at the best of times with being in public, in social settings where it's loud and disruptive. I don't like it. The cinema is the one place I should be able to go and sit and be quiet and enjoy and not be disturbed. I've had nearly every single film I've been to see over the last 3 or 4 years ruined or disrupted in some way by people just not behaving the way that they should do in a cinema. And it's made me incredibly hesitant. I don't like going to the cinema anymore. I've become much more accustomed to sitting down on the sofa and binge watching the new season of the TV series that I've been really enjoying. And that goes for the same with Star Wars.
Yeah.
More time for storytelling, less time for that magical cinema experience. And that makes me sad that I'm in that position now as like a, a self-confessed cinephile. Like I love film. I adore film. It's a beautiful art form. I don't get to enjoy it the way that I want to. And that takes away so much of that magic. And I worry that when Mando and Grogu comes out, I'm going to end up doing what I always do, which is resorting to acquiring a copy and watching it at home because at least I can have my popcorn in peace and quiet.
That's fair, and I think that's the thing as well. That's the big highlighting point here is it's a generational thing. Like the cinema is not as good as it used to be back in its day, clearly, but we weren't able to stream at home for one anyway. So my thing is, I love going to the movies. I love going with my family, etc. But I'm very similar to Charlie, and again, I think this is coming down to a generation thing or an age thing, or I like being in my own setting at home, comfortable, chilled, etc., etc. But ultimately, it comes down to the money machine that is Disney. And Disney make so much more, and I'm talking billions more money with movies than they do TV stuff. I think they lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that I don't want this to be the streaming versus movies thing, but COVID happening right when streaming started was a terrible, terrible thing
Yes.
for the market, because people like Bob Iger and Bob Chapek and the people like Jeff, what's his name, the Amazon guy, and all these
Jeff
Warner
Bezos.
Brothers and all these guys, they saw these numbers and these returns. Well, they don't. I feel like sometimes they don't think about the fact that we were all trapped in our homes, and
Yeah.
so they're trying to and then now Netflix just purchased Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So they have an option. They can either try to revitalize the cinema or they can kill cinema and make everything streaming, which I hope that it doesn't do. But I mean, if you have all these major groups that all have streaming services and they own all these, think about the IPs now that Disney owns and
Yeah.
Netflix will own. Just those two companies alone, they own almost all the nerdoms out there, and so they could very easily just say, well, we're not making films anymore or something. But yeah, I just think that COVID really screwed things up, obviously for lots and lots and lots of reasons, but it just set a poor business model, and then unattainable. So we'll see though. And then it killed cinema. And I feel like we're kind of back now finally, but we'll see.
I think I have to agree with you. It's been quite sad to watch the death of cinema, and it's frustrating to see that that's been spurred on by something as kind of out of our control of the pandemic. Like a really good example, Lost ran from 2004 to
I love that.
2010. That was 121 episodes spread over that time. When lockdown started, I sat and watched the whole thing in about 3 weeks. That is not the way human beings are meant to consume media.
Strong. That is a strong
That's
effort.
impressive. Most impressive.
Most impressive. I
It is.
also watched the entirety of Red Dwarf in about 4 weeks, so don't get it. I think because we had nothing to do, the world was
Yeah.
falling apart outside, and all we had was like the comfort of television and
Yeah.
film. And it, yeah, humans are not supposed to consume that amount of media in that short amount of time. And I'm not the only person that did this. I know everybody's got their own like binge stories from
Yeah.
lockdown of where you just burned through anything you could get your hands on just to pass the time. And now we want our streaming right here, right now. Like the weekly release of Andor became frustrating to me. I've lived through episodic television. I'm old enough to remember that being a thing. Why have I
Yeah.
suddenly lost the ability? And I think Disney's heavy reliance on the streaming era makes me worry for what they're going to bring back to the cinemas. Also, because the sequels didn't do as well as they should have or could have, which is a whole other discussion topic, I know, but
It is,
I
but it's the perfect segue into the first question, Charlie. So bravo. So it's 2011. You've just purchased Star Wars as the Disney company. What's the first thing you're making, and would it be close to The Force Awakens, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a movie. I'm gonna kick off a new generation. I think that it would have been similar. I know we talked about this a little bit ago, but I think I would have gone with The Force Awakens. I love the title. I think it's perfect for starting Star Wars all
Yeah.
over again. I would have tweaked. This was Mike and Josh and I talking. I would have tweaked the storyline so that we got all three of the big superstars together, and then they kind of handed
Yeah.
things off to the newbies. Like I wouldn't have made it so focused. I would have tried to balance it more. And I think that would have been a better transition for the older fans and the newer fans. We still get, I mean, I am totally fine with Ray, Poe, Finn, all those characters. Love them. Let's keep them, but let's bring it along a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And let's just, and again, I like The Force Awakens. Like I plan on watching it over break because we didn't get a release of it in the theaters like I was hoping for. But I think I would have created something just like that. Like you have to, like you have
Yeah.
this. I mean, that's what Star Wars is up until Disney bought it. It was only movies, I mean, so yeah, I'm making The Force Awakens. I'm making a smidge different. I'm
Yeah.
having a plan for all three films, right? I'm not gonna just wing it. We're talking about, I just paid $4 billion for something. I'm not just gonna wing it. I won't wing it if I'm paid $4 for something. So I'm gonna have a game plan all the way through. There's so many creative people in Hollywood. Just let them do what they do, man, and pay them. So there's where I'm at. Sorry.
Nice. Charlie?
See, I'm not like other girls in me wants to be like, I do something completely and totally different and it would be super totally amazing and incredible and amazing. No, I would most likely end up doing a version of The Force Awakens, if not exactly what was The Force Awakens. To me, she is perfect. To me, I would not change a thing. I would maybe extend the time between the release of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi just to make sure that the story's there. Like George took
Yeah.
his time, and I know that yes, he didn't direct Empire Strikes Back, but he was instrumental in it, and he was basically there the entire time, so he sort of did do it anyway. It give me that cohesion of director and writer and art, like all of those people. It's something I spoke about on our recap. with Jimmy and Bobby is that Disney have yet to find that unified kind of Star Wars aesthetic visually and narratively. And that's quite frustrating because it feels like everything sort of fits, but some of the jigsaw pieces aren't quite the right size or shape, even though the picture on the front is the same. It Something's still a little bit off, and George worked very, very hard to finesse that. His vision was kind of super, super clear from the beginning, and yes, it took other people to bring that in, but yeah. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer. Yes, I'd make The Force Awakens.
No,
I
that's
did like your
perfect.
Valley Girl though.
Yeah.
Is that Dark Charlie? Is that your version of Dark Charlie? Do you have Valley Girls in the UK? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know the reference. You guys catch the reference, like oh my
Yeah.
god, like that kind of thing. Because you rock that a little too easily. I feel like.
Perfect.
What have I unleashed?
Yeah, exactly. For me, I'm similar to Jimmy. I'd give the legacy characters a much better send off, getting them all together, doing the handover takeover sort of thing. Because again, you're handing over not just characters but a generation of fans. I'd have stayed clear of doing the planet killer thing. I'd have changed that completely. That's the only thing I'd have changed. Because again, that's the only sort of link for me in my head for copying A New Hope. I'd have kept the same director for all three, be it JJ, be it Ian Johnson, whoever. Well, I'd have kept the same director, I think, or at least done what they did with the High Republic and get a load of directors in that I wanted and gone right, get together, talk to each other, connect your stories together, tell each other what you want to do with the characters. Because I don't think the High Republic gets enough praise for what it's done. That's another episode that I think we need to cover. But yeah, that's my short answer. Pretty much agreeing with yourself, Jimmy. Just change the planet kind of stuff. Next one then, 10 years on from The Force Awakens, are you happy with the current landscape of Disney's Star Wars? What's missing for you, Charlie?
Surprisingly, I am happy. I think I've been willing to accept from the beginning that there are going to be teething problems. It's going to be a bit wobbly. It's maybe not going to be to everyone's taste and what everyone likes. And I do think people need to give it a little bit more time. I think the, the legacy and the task that's being taken on is immense, and I feel queasy even thinking about what that would take to organize and arrange and sort, and let alone plan 2 years into the future, let alone 5, 10, 15, even 20. I am. And if anything's missing, it's more Ray. But again, I'm probably super biased saying that from my position. I miss it. I miss her. I really, really miss her. 7 years is a long time to go without like my favorite character. I'm sure that's how people felt about Luke Skywalker, about Yoda, about R2D2, about Darth Vader. I'm sat here sad at 7 years when people were sat there for 22 years without Darth Vader. I get it. I feel it. I empathize. I get it now.
Jimmy, what about you?
Yeah, I think so. I was just scrolling back through that list. I mean, there's like two things on that list of all those things that I don't really care for.
Yeah.
Right. Like out of all that stuff, there's two things on there. I'm like, you know, and it's not really that bad. It's still Star Wars. You know, it could have been worse. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, my stuff is selfish. I want, we get tons of books. I just want some of those books, some of those ideas. Like I want those authors, like you said, that wrote the High Republic. The only thing I would do is like bring them in and let them do more with Star Wars. So, but yeah, I just like Charlie said, like 22 years. You kind of think about it, like Chuck, if come back and raise this like a shadow of what you thought she was going to be, then you could maybe understand a little bit of where the frustration from the older fans. I never felt that because I'm just like, oh, this is a story. Let's move forward. But yeah, I think I'm fine with it. 10 years later, yeah, I'm just only annoys me is we've gotten 7 years without a film.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
Yeah. Again, similar to you both, I'm content. I think the only thing that's missing that's key at the minute with how much content that's out there about it is some old Republic stuff, TV series, movie, whatever it games, brilliant, yeah, sound, whatever. But movies and TV series, I think, really had a whole new dimension and outlook on something. That's the only thing me personally would have invested more time and effort into. But hopefully we get that. Next question. Who wants to start for the next question?
Ooh, I'll jump into that one. So the question is, what have Disney done well with Star Wars, and specifically the idea of the Force? I've written an article about this on our website. So I think that the High Republic, and I know people are going to roll over, the Acolyte have done a good job of explaining and expanding on the Force, right? The High Republic, especially phase 2 of the High Republic, even phase 1s and 3, like all the Jedi see the Force in different ways. And I just think that, to make it one thing, and it's, the Force is a religion, it's a space religion, space wizards. You can talk to 3 different pastors, 3 different deacons. They all have a different view. Like they have a similar view, but things are a little bit different for them, how they see things in their religion. And to think that all the Jedi see everything the same exact way every single time on every single thing. And we've seen that even in the prequels, that they don't always agree. So I think the biggest thing that Disney has done is give more voices, more faces that people recognize, right? They can see themselves in these characters, which I think is fantastic. As a young white kid, I didn't realize that was missing for people. Like I didn't. We weren't aware of these things,
No.
in the 80s and the 90s. It wasn't something that was brought to our attention. So I never thought about it. Everyone looked like me. So I was like, hey, I'm good,
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they've given all these different voices to the Force, people see it as music, they see it as an ocean, they see it as threads that connect everybody. Then there's all these different forces meeting on Jeddah, and all these different religious groups of the Force that see the Force as something else, and they use it different ways. And then you have the thread, obviously that didn't go over very well, but you have these different options. I think that is brilliant, and I think that opens up storytelling for Star Wars in a way that maybe George wouldn't have done, because he did see it kind of like, and give the man the credit, he created all of this. But you need other voices, and I think that's, for me personally, I think that's what they've done really, really well, is really give more people, open it up to more people, and then open up the Force in ways that I think if people would read more, or that's why I think there needs to be an animated show or a movie about the High Republic, just to show them what the Force is capable of.
Yeah.
So sorry for that long-winded answer.
No, it was a good one. It was a good one. Charlie?
That was a cracking answer, Jimmy. Goodness me. I feel like I do have to echo your point. Specifically the diversification of Star Wars is something that's been so unbelievably beautiful to see. Different races, different genders, different sexualities. So much of it has been inputted, maybe not into like movies right in front of your face, but there's some beautiful things in the comic books that I'm deeply passionate about, especially in the High Republic. There are some gorgeous stories, and that, and also intensifying in the actual kind of terms of canon and the story, intensifying the connection with the Force. I remember when I watched the prequels as a kid and a teenager, and I watched the original trilogy, the Force was this kind of ineffable, untouchable, unreachable thing that was used quite sparingly. And then in the prequel era, it was used kind of specifically for violence and very, very little, and feeding Padme bits of pear. Nothing else, really. And then I'm never going to let George Lucas forget about that. The most abhorrent thing I've ever disgusting. Disgusting and unnecessary. Getting off track. And then we got to the sequel era, and all I think about is that beautiful scene in The Rise of Skywalker where Rey is lying on the floor, clinging to the last threads of her very, like her own life and her existence, and suddenly she is surrounded by all of the Jedi. Finally, we see the Force in this way that feels tangible and real, and just even the ideas of the Force put forward in Rogue One. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me. And even if you're not a practicing Force user, the Force is in all of us and is for all of us. It it expanded in ways that made the world feel even more beautiful and relatable and spiritual. And go and read, everyone needs to go and read Jimmy's article about his comparison between Star Wars and Faith, because it's a really, really genuinely interesting read, and something that I'd never considered, and it's helped me look at Star Wars in like a completely different way. But yeah, Disney specifically, what they've done with the Force has been beautiful to me. I can only praise them for that in terms of storytelling. Sorry.
No, nice. I think Disney have done well with Star Wars in terms of making more of it diversity of it, and I'm not talking about all the political stuff behind it, but the amount of Star Wars stuff that's out there for everybody. And we've said this on no end of episodes, man. There's enough Star Wars for everybody. You know, it's okay to dislike stuff, sound whatever, but out of everything, there has to be something you'd like. Even if you're against Star Wars, I can guarantee there'll be something, whatever it is, that you've liked. I think they've done really well in their TV shows, like extraordinarily well. There's a few episodes and certain things, again, not keen on yet, Sam, but overall, I think the TV stuff has been super strong, really, really strong, especially The Mandalorian and even Skeleton Crew, like phenomenal job. I think some of their casting has been phenomenal. I can't think of anyone where I thought probably wouldn't cast that person as that person. The only thing I would say with that actually is The Mandalorian with Jack Black and Liz. But apart from that, I think the casting's been absolutely spot on.
Lizzo.
But
Lizzo.
Yeah, Lizzo.
Liz.
No name. And then the idea of the Force, again, I sort of agree with you both, but then I think, and I sort of agree with George Lucas, is if there's two things that need to remain a mystery in Star Wars for it to be as successful as it is and as mysterious as it is definitely the Force and Yoda. Those two things I think are key to be mysterious, because I think one of the big things for Star Wars and what keeps bringing people back is the mystery. How many times have me and you spoken, Jimmy, and we've gone, it's given us more questions than answers, so it brings you back constantly. Cool. Next one.
Is Star Wars more powerful than ever?
I fear that Star Wars has not hit its peak like this since Revenge of the Sith time. I know. As a hardcore sequels lover, I know that may seem controversial to people. Shock, horror, jaws on the floor. I don't think Star Wars has hit that kind of cultural peak since. I don't think Star Wars is at its most powerful yet. Yet. I think it might be Starfighter that turns the tide. Since the response to Skeleton Crew was so unexpectedly positive at something so different and so kind of just sort of out there for Star Wars, I do genuinely think that Starfighter is going to be that thing that makes everyone turn around and go, whoa, I didn't know it got good. I know Andor sort of did that, but it still didn't have the same pull. That I think, like, people were taking their kids to see Revenge of the Sith, people were taking their grandparents to see Revenge of the Sith. Like, it had that cultural gap, like cultural bridge. I'm hoping my fingers, toes, legs, arms, hands, feet, neck is crossed that Starfighter will be this. I'm a human pretzel right now, guys. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's powerful now. I think that with a steady diet of good films and good writing, and it does make me a little bit sad that we're jumping over Mando and Grogu, but I feel the same way that Charlie does. I don't think that's the movie that's going to change the franchise. I think that it's something like Starfighter is going to, you get that hype from The Force Awakens, but I think that if Starfighter is good enough and different enough and can set a trajectory for the future of Star Wars, then I think that we could be back and it could be more powerful. I think it's just as good as it was, but I agree with Charlie. I think that there's still more to come, and I still think that it hasn't hit its peak. Like I do believe that there's more.
Yeah. I sort of agree with you both again. I think Star Wars is at its most powerful it's ever been. Like I said, like Charlie said, I don't think it's at its peak yet. But yeah, I think this will sort of lead on to the next thing. Yeah, I'll leave it with that because I'll answer it. My point for the next one is, it is at its most powerful it has ever been. Next question, I know it's quite a good one for us because we've got sequels, prequel lovers in this group anyway. So do we have more sequel lovers than haters, just like the cycle of prequel lovers? Personally, I don't think we do yet. I think it will happen, same as it did with the prequels, but I don't think that time is yet. And I think it ties into what you were both saying about Starfighter. If it comes out, when it comes out and it's good, I think people will look back and go, well, what was this about? And rewatch it. Jimmy, let's go with you. We'll finish with Charlie on this one.
I think that we need another 10 years for people to understand and develop, and I don't want to forget how much the Clone Wars helped the prequels.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about this. I'm getting some of our conversation. We've talked a lot about the Force Awakens over this month, which I love. It's been great. But the Force Awakens, and it shouldn't need it, but the prequel shouldn't have needed it either. But the sequels, they might need something like the Clone Wars to kind of.
They've tried that with the comics and Battlefront.
Yeah, but comics, they're so quick to rewrite comics or just throw out the canon. And I get that. Like it's like a tier 3 and movies are tier 1 or whatever. But I mean, I still think that there's still lots of distaste for the sequels. I think that eventually that group of people, just like the prequels, will be the ones who are, the young adults, and they'll be taking their kids or they'll be buying the stuff, and then that's where I stand.
Charlie, go.
Oh, this is an interesting one. It's getting there. Like the prequels Renaissance, as it's called. I love that name. I love that name so, so much. Has been pretty measurable and pretty visible. I think, obviously, kind of culminating with Hayden Christensen's first appearance at Star Wars Celebration and him crying his eyes out on stage because everybody screamed that roof down. That was the peak, I think. And that was the point where everyone went, you know what? They were brilliant films. I actually loved them. I'm sorry I ever said anything horrible about them in the first place. I think the sequels are getting there. The nostalgia for The Force Awakens has been a really, really big driver for that. Everyone loves a 10-year anniversary. Everyone loves looking back after a decade. Obviously, we've done a whole month about The Force Awakens, big fans.
Yeah.
It's getting there, and I think obviously the mass response to The Hunt for Ben Solo as well was really, really positive, a really, really big step in the right direction for that kind of sequels renaissance to happen. I think it's going to take another 10 years. I think it's going to be a good solid kind of 20-year process. But I don't think it's fair to, yes, I don't necessarily like or get on with people that really kind of verbally hate and attack the sequel films specifically. It doesn't mean that I hate them forever or that people can't change their minds or change their opinions or grow or change or make different choices. That's the journey that we have with media that applies across the board. It isn't just a Star Wars thing. So I think it still has more haters than it does lovers. I still feel like I'm in a minority group in that sense. But time will tell. We shall see. Jack, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think echoing again, sort of what you're both saying. And I sort of said at the start, we need a lot more time for the sequel lovers to come out. I think, like you said, or I said, sorry, when Starfighter comes out, if it does sway more people towards Star Wars culture, I think people will look back at the sequels and realize how much of a gem they were. Same as they did with prequels. I mean, we've all seen it in our generation, in our life so far. And I think, again, you never know, in 30, 40 years' time, there could be another, I know, a different Jimmy, a different Jack, and a different Charlie doing the same thing on a different podcast talking about it. So who knows? Anything to add, Jimmy?
Well, I just think that if we ever get this Rey trilogy, that could help. You give us more time with the character. I think about Ahsoka's journey from Clone Wars through to Ahsoka. I mean, I know like Charlie's not a huge fan, but I hated Ahsoka. I thought she was like the most annoying character I've ever seen in my entire life. And then you just keep banging us over the head with her, but they did change her personality. We watched her grow up. We watched her mess up. We watched her, have, just these different adventures. She has her first cry, all these different things we get to see. We never get to see that stuff with Rey, and so
7 seasons with Ahsoka. Like, that's crazy. We've had 3 films with Rey. That's not like a comparable. That's a really good point, actually.
Mike and I did a thing on Jedi and the Mailman a couple weeks ago now, where there's a website that you can see how much time a person has on screen, and Ahsoka's like number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we need more time with her. You get that time, people start looking back. Rey's one of my favorite characters. Like they love these new Rey movies, and then they kind of nostalgically comes back because where they started falling in love with the Anakin and stuff like that in the Clone Wars. So I do think that would help. Or we just wait, like you guys said, and the next generation comes in. I would prefer some great movies to change the narrative right now.
Well, we didn't get that much on screen time with Ray, Finn, and Poe at the same time, like you did with the the originals. They were always together, or literally always together. And when one wasn't, well, they went to Tatooine to go and rescue him. Prequel wise as well. Obi-Wan, Anakin, Qui-Gon for the first film. Always together, all the way through. So yeah, it's a really good point, to be fair. Next question, and we'll start with you on this one, Charlie. Do you think the hatred of the Disney era of Star Wars gets, even to this day, is justified?
Absolutely not. So I recently read a piece in get this, the culture section of the Telegraph. Now, for people who don't know, the Telegraph is a newspaper here in the UK. It's considered a more middle class publication. Everyone goes there for their art galleries and their theatre reviews and their current politics with a very right lean. Um, this article was titled "Disney's Decade-Long Destruction of Star Wars is Nearly Complete." And whilst I'm a proud sequels defender and could absolutely be considered biased in this conversation, I find this kind of journalism extremely frustrating and upsetting, as it proves that even after all this time, open hatred of this period of media still drives more clicks and engagement than content that celebrates it. Is it not time to let it go? Like this is a middle class newspaper that Mr. Financial Businessman on his way to London is going to pick up and read while he's halfway through his journey, and we're still banging on about Disney's decade-long destruction of Star Wars. According to who? According to their bank balance? According to their streaming figures?
Yeah,
I had the
no.
displeasure of reading the article, and it's as awful as you think it is. It's so unnecessary at this. Like, I'm tired. I've said this before on a couple of other shows. I am tired of it. Jimmy, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't think it's justified. I think that it got caught in the crosshairs of politics here in the States, and it sounds like it from in other countries. That's why recently, I said with the change in some of the changes that are happening here, and maybe another I don't know exactly what's going on in the UK politically and stuff like that. And when we read that Leslie Headland article as well, and I just think that it just got stuck. I mean, there's always going to be people who didn't like the film. That's fine. Like, I mean, Jack told us about the people who just got up and walked out in the first showing. So they didn't have time to be influenced by anything. Like, they genuinely didn't like the film. And I'm like, okay, that I can support. I'm sorry that you didn't like it, but I just think most of the hate, and like you said, clickbait hate articles do better than celebrating anything. And, I had this conversation with people where, we all know my journey with the prequels. I'm much happier Star Wars fan now that I just decided to like what I like and just ignore, I don't know. So, I don't think any of it's just, I mean, you can't bombard the Acolyte before the episodes even air. They have a 14% rate. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I mean, they blew up a movie called The Acolyte that had come out years previously. They destroyed the Rotten Tomatoes score of it because they thought that was the TV show.
Yeah.
And it's money driven. I mean, that Leslie Headland, I mean, I think she made some mistakes in The Acolyte, but in that article we diagnosed not too long ago, I think she was spot on that people don't think for themselves. They're influenced by what they hear on social media. And so that just transferred into politics. And everything got caught in the crosshairs, and it got caught in a battle between the left and the right. So,
yeah, it's ridiculous. There's no way it's justified. Like I said, there is more than enough Star Wars for everybody. And sort of like what Charlie was saying there, and yourself, Jimmy. If you don't like something, that's fine. You can voice about it. That's fine. But there's no need to go in on it like some people have, and some people do, and some people using it for clickbait. For views, for likes, etc., etc. Just do what you need to do, say what you need to say, but just have a little bit of decorum about you.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I mean, because I didn't think the Reva character was that great, but I'm not going to be there and well, there shouldn't be any women of color in Star Wars. You know what I mean? That's insane to say something like that, because I didn't care for. I think she's a phenomenal actor. Was it Moses Ingram? I think she's a phenomenal actor. But I just didn't think. I think that character didn't work for me in Kenobi. It didn't really make sense.
Yeah, I liked her.
She kind of felt like Poe
That's
to me, where
fun.
she's just yelling all the time. She's just yelling all of her lines.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like
Yeah.
acting. It was
I
just
like
like
the character. I
yeah.
thought it was all right.
Yeah, so and you guys liked her, but like in that era, that character they attacked her so quickly. Kelly Marie Tran got attacked, and you notice something too. It's a lot of the women that keep getting attacked, not the male characters that are getting attacked. So you can't tell me that it's not politically charged as far as people not wanting women in the forefront or things like that.
Yeah.
But I will never attack Moses Ingram. I would never attack Kelly Marie Tran or Jar Jar, Ahmad Best and things like that. Because I didn't like a character or something didn't work for me. Like you said, you liked it, I didn't like it. I liked other parts of it, so.
In November this year, I went to Comic-Con and I spent my first day dressed up as Rey because I do my things with Saber Guild, and then I get to walk around the con for a little bit afterwards in the afternoon, still in full costume, buns, lightsaber, the works, whatever. The amount of people that went out of their way to make faces at me, pass comments, or be generally quite mean and discouraging is abominable to me. It is 2025. It has
Crazy.
Get over it. Whatever's going on, whatever eats you alive till 3 o'clock in the morning where you can't sleep because Star Wars makes you angry, sort your life out. Sort it out.
And what we've got to remember, and I'll finish it on this, is these people have been given a job, given a script. They've done the best with what they've been given. So we'll end it on that one. Right, last question then. Are things looking good for Star Wars, Jimmy?
Yes. I think
Yes.
that we're entering. I think we I hate to say this, get past Mando and Grogu and get into the hype of Maul Shadow Lord. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. That is going to be huge for Star Wars storytelling. It's still stuck in the Clone Wars or right after the Clone Wars, but I just think the future with Starfighter and moving past everything, moving past the Skywalker saga. I still think Rey could be part of it. And I think she should be, but I think it's time to move on. New bad guys, not a bigger Death Star. Let's get was it Usan Vong or some kind of enemy that really makes things hard, or and I think Star Wars is in a great place. The writing, the books, the comics, the TV shows, all that stuff. I think Star Wars is in a good place. I hope that they are able to work things out financially so that we can kind of get a steady diet of things where it's not so 7 years here, like 2 or 3 years maybe, but we're getting TV shows or something. But I think Star Wars is in a good place. Hopefully some of these people that just hate it will go away. Just go away. Stop being a fan. Like, why being like, get out bye now.
Charlie?
I couldn't say that any better, to be quite honest. I think things are looking good for Star Wars. I'm excited for what's coming up next. I'm really excited that we've got a nice kind of handful of actual films on the slate. That makes me feel like they're gearing up for some sort of forward-moving plan. It would be nice to have a more consistent feeding schedule. I'm feeling very hungry, very starved. I'm wasting away. The only thing that gives me any kind of pause and hesitation is Disney's sudden kind of uptick and reliance on AI. I won't dive into this as a whole topic or anything, but that's the only thing that makes me hesitate, is this lean towards like, oh, maybe we could get it to do stories for us. Well, what about all of the people who went to school to learn how to write stories? It, that's the only thing that makes me worry about the future of Star Wars, is I don't want to see it turned into like AI slop. That would be my absolute worst nightmare. And frankly, in my opinion, a desecration of the original project. We won't go there. But ultimately, I think things are looking good for Star Wars, and I am very, very excited to still be a Star Wars fan going into 2026.
Yeah, likewise. I think things are looking good for Star Wars, but I also think, and there'll be more of this from me next year, that we're on a roller coaster. And I think we're going to go left or right. As in, we're always going to have hardcore Star Wars fans, but at the end of the day, we need new fans to get on board. Otherwise, eventually, yes, it will go into the abyss. Hopefully, it doesn't. But yeah, I think 2026 is a massive year. I think 27 is going to be even bigger for Star Wars. I don't want to say make or break, but it's going to be huge. It is going to be such a big year. Cool. Any final comments before we sign off?
If we could squeeze in an R-rated Star Wars project somewhere in the next 3 or 4 years, that would also be perfect. I can't believe I forgot to mention that in the list of things that I want very much. Please and thank you, Santa Claus. An R-rated Star Wars production. Thank you.
Brilliant. If you have any questions or just want your voice heard, then DM us on our socials or send us an email or voice note at exploretheforce@gmail.com. And remember to like this episode, share it with your Star Wars friends and family, and to follow us on all our social media platforms. All you have to do is search Explore the Force, all one word. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to search exploretheforce.com for our new, I was going to say up-to-date website.
And if you want to show your support and spread the word around by image as well as voice, then head over to Redbubble and search Explore the Force, where you can purchase unique merchandise. And in Mahusiv, massive, 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 massive thank you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all of that to all of our wonderful listeners and everyone interacting via our social media. You keep this podcast absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, folks. Yes, happy holidays from all of us here. This will be the last time we talk to you guys in 2025 as a group. We will be back very quickly at the beginning of 2026, and we got some stuff coming out. Watch our socials because we want to know what you guys thought about 25 and what you're hopeful in 26. So just keep an eye out for that stuff. And finally, you've been listening or you've been watching Explore the Force. We have spoken. See y'all next year.
Only now, at the end, do you understand? Close your eyes. Feel it. I am a sedative.
Wise as Master Yoda, as powerful as Master Windu.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
I am going to end this once and for all.
Sure. We're all one.
You were the chosen one!